I hate to break the fishing news after Chuck, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down.
Yep.
All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome in episode 228 of the Real Life Podcast. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. Chalmers, Bag Milk, Wanya, and Jay are all here. And I like this podcast already because looking at the call, there's only one ceiling fan on my screen. Everyone else is allowing me to look at their face, and I think that's a big moment. Oh, all four. There we go.
Sometimes it's going to be big on camera and not being a degenerate like I was last show.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a normal day, you know?
Before we dig into the podcast, should let everyone know, as always, we are brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Down with Noodle King. Oodle Noodle is the number one noodle shop in Edmonton. 14 locations. Number 15 is coming. So if you're out in Fort Saskatchewan, stop eating now. And that way, when the Oodle Noodle location opens, you can just eat for like a week straight and not do anything else. As always, 10% of all in-store proceeds. Had a piece of sugar from the sour Skittle I ate stuck in my throat there. 10% from all in-store proceeds at Oodle Noodle go towards a local charity. There's a new one coming, right?
Yeah, we just launched a video this week, so please share on all Nation and Nation Real Life channels, Bag Milk and Yaremchuk. We're partnered with the MS Society of Canada.
All right, MS Society of Canada.
Normally, we have a local focus, and but this does have a local focus because of all of the crazy research, the facility they have here for research for MS, and kind of all the advancements that have come out of Edmonton as well. So, there is a strong local angle there. We're supporting a very strong team and facility here that's doing great things and helping put Edmonton on the map.
Great stuff.
Jay, I have to say, you sound terrific, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to throw it out there. Those earphones,
nice.
whatever you're using, it sounds terrific.
I see he's upstairs a little brick, so I can see.
I'm at the content table. I'm in the content table. I got the earpods in. There's half the time there's someone else in the office. The office right now, I have to warn you at all. You're not even here. It is like 900 degrees. So this is one of those days. Like Little Brick is interesting because it runs off of one furnace. And run in the thermostat are out in the cafe, so they don't register what's going on in the offices. So if it's cold in the cafe, the furnaces fire up and turn our offices into a sauna. And if the offices are warm, then the furnaces don't turn on, and then our offices are an ice box. So winter is always an interesting time, and that is the joys of owning a house that is 117 years old.
Is the basement studio freezing cold, or has no one been there in like 7 months?
No, I was actually just in there. So Big Mike went down there. And has got it all kind of cleaned up. We're getting the camera set back up because Josh and I are going to work on some video stuff down there. Cool. And I'm quietly going to be pushing you guys to try to come back home here at some point. But so we're getting the studio. But actually, full disclosure, I've got to play hockey today. And I totally forgot to take my equipment out of my car. So I have my hockey equipment airing out right now in the podcast studio.
That sounds not appealing at all. So,
yep.
All right. Chalmers talked about your AirPods. As someone who does audio stuff for work, I'm surprised actually that you get that good of audio quality out of the little AirPod, considering the microphone's like up by your ear, right?
It's insane.
It's weird.
It's insane. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. But the whole reason why I got AirPods is right at the start of COVID. My whole life was just living on the phone because essentially everything was on fire. So I'm just on the phone trying to fix things, have meetings with the team, and do all that stuff. So I'm walking around, and I'm also stressed out to the max. So I'm walking around the neighborhood to do all these calls. So I was doing it with like your normal earphones with the wires plugging into your phone. And then but I would walk, and then the mic would rub on my jacket because it was still like cold out. So I'm wearing like a parka, so it'd rub, and that'd drive people crazy. And then also the cord, because I'm a hand talker. I don't know if you know this in the Oodle Noodle videos. It's more my hands doing the talking. So I'm hand talking while I'm on these walks. and the amount of times I would like karate chop the cord and the phone would either fly out of my pocket and then smash it on the cement, or the ear pods would rip out of my ear and just like it's not like it's like a crazy pain, but it's such a weird
You could just sum
feeling.
it up with I'm rich and I got AirPods. It's fine.
No. It was not it. But that was
This is
my
a very
splurge
convoluted way
during
of saying I bought the most expensive earpods that they make.
No, but that was why I got AirPods, because of all of that disruption, because being on the phone was actually my job for 8 hours a day for like 2 months. So I was like, fuck, I need to, like, I've got to splurge on something. I'm literally haven't spent $1 on myself during this time. So yeah, I bucked up and bought some AirPods.
Except for the AirPods and the Peloton.
Well, Peloton, let's put a caveat on the Peloton. Peloton financed over 39 months over 0% interest.
And they came out with a new bike like 6 months after we bought ours, eh?
Well, whatever. They knew.
Yeah, whatever. The technology is the same. Whatever. The screen pivots. Who cares?
So
Wanya,
what
in the same vein, Wanya, you look great. I like being able to see your face.
I like the hair. You got like a bit of a flow going there.
This is a real pleasure today.
Oh, nice. Chalmers is in the best of spirits.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, maybe it's election stuff. Who knows? Just kidding.
You must have got the good Slurpee today.
No, I haven't even had a Slurpee today yet, actually.
I was going to make a
Just
sex
living on-
joke, but then I decided not to.
Riding a high here, boys. Riding a high. You know what? My jobs are all going really, really well today, but everything is very hectic. But there's only been one major problem today, so
We
feeling good.
We had someone reach out to the podcast, and they mentioned all of the garage door openers you have. I count 4 of them right now, and most of them, it looks like, have multiple buttons as well. How do you keep track of which ones are for which? Do you have like a piece of another
one here
one?
too.
Like,
that's in the sunglass case because it can't fit it.
Is it just easy to remember, or do you have to like? Do you ever pull up to a job site and like just hit all of them at once and then it opens?
No, it's very simple. One of them is my own house because I don't use this thing because I don't like it.
Okay.
It doesn't have great range.
When you
The
say
other
this
one-
thing, it is a podcast, so I'll just say you're pointing to the built-in one in your truck.
The built-in one in the truck. It doesn't have the greatest range. One of them is actually for my parents' house because I go over there a lot to just take care of stuff and just do things. So that's easy to get in and out. And then the other 3 are just jobs, and I know which ones they are because I put I know which unit they put in, and I know which one it is. I don't know. They're easy to keep straight, actually. Not hard.
Smart man. Very smart man.
Yeah.
Everyone was sharing stories about their day. In my work today at the radio station, in the middle of our show, the fire alarm went off.
Come on.
Oh,
I saw that on Twitter.
So I'm on the 10 to noon slot, and usually we have 2 fire drills a year, and they happen either right at 10 or right at 11. And when they're drills, I'm told not to go outside. I just close the door. When the fire department comes, they know that there's going to be someone in the radio station or in the AM radio station sitting at the control board, and I just roll through it. So today the fire alarm goes off at 10:50. And I'm like, that's weird, but I must have missed the announcement about a drill. So it's going off in my ears. Low Tide could hear it, and he was like, what's going on? I'm like, I think it's just a fire drill. So everyone was evacuating, and I was just kind of sitting there. And I was like, you know what? This is weird. I should probably text my boss. So I texted Matt Iwanek, and I was like, hey, am I supposed to leave? And like a minute after I sent it, he comes running in. He's like, you need to get out of here. And I was like, oh shit, there's actually a fire. So I like quickly grabbed all my stuff and had to actually evacuate. But for a second, I was just going to stay planted and just not leave.
Was there a fire?
You're like, I'll never leave my post. The world is ending. You're like, and in goddamn AHL news.
Was there actually a fire?
No,
or
it was
because you won and dropped the hottest of scalding hot takes today.
The mitts over there. I don't have mitts. But no, it was just like a false alarm. It was weird. We don't even know what part of the building it came from. But like the fire trucks came ripping in with full sirens and everything. There was like 4 fire trucks that showed up. It was wild. But yeah, I had to
what happens to the feed on the radio? You guys, like, what? Do you have an emergency something you play?
Yeah, so it's really cool. There's like a little button, and it's in a plastic case and everything.
Come on.
And you have to flip up the plastic case and hit the red button that says emergency. So that was fun. I got to like flip it. I was like, Low Tide, because Low Tide's at home still, right? He's doing a show from home. So I was like, Low Tide, we got to go. And I hit the emergency feed, and it cuts down. We play ESPN from somewhere in the States.
I did it with my dick for sure.
Oh, so like, for all you know, somebody was like, they all of a sudden started listening to like the Levitard show or something.
Yeah, I think they got Rome or something like that, maybe. I'm not 100% sure what it was. But then...
Go ahead.
Our boss tried to fix a commercial break that was coming up so our commercials would play, and he ended up just firing the commercials because he can do it all from his phone. And the people listening had like 3 audio streams going into their radio at once. It was like Jim Rome or whatever, and our commercials playing over top of Jim Rome. Apparently, it was just a fucking mess.
I used to listen to Jim Rome so religiously.
You love Jim Rome.
I loved him. I used to have like a little AM/FM radio that you could have a plug-in into, like earphones back when those still existed.
Yeah.
And at 10:06 every day, I knew that the show started.
There was a time where there was no talking to you before you started talking about goddamn Jim Rome.
I know. It was crazy.
Well, Jim Rome thing.
And it was like the best thing ever. I was like, you guys got to hear it. I listen to it now. I swear to God, it rewinds me back to 10 years ago. That show has not changed a bit. It's the exact same thing.
His
and
pauses are too long.
I don't understand how it's still so popular. I guess new listeners find it, and then they get
people like the continuity of it.
Yeah.
But oh my God, it's the same exact drops. Like it's almost like it's like a computer. I don't know. You just need to listen to it to know what I'm talking about.
There's one guy that texts into the radio station once a week just to tell me and Low Tide. He goes, "You guys suck. They should cancel you and put Jim Rome back on." And he says that once a week he'll text in.
You gotta give him credit. Maybe one day he'll get his wish.
Well, like, yeah, I always want to respond, but I don't do this. I'm like, man, you have the internet. You can just go listen to Jim Rome now if you wanted to. Like, no one's forcing you to listen to any of this. That's always my big beef.
Lines are like cruel and unusual punishment that you guys have to read them. That plus social does not equal good mental health.
Yeah, the thing that's always bugged me, like people complain about, if it's like an article on the Oilers Nation or about a podcast or about radio, and they're like, this fucking sucks because this, and this. And I'm always just like, in the days of the internet, there are millions of things you could listen to. Like, why waste your energy bitching about something that you also get for free? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. If it's like a loyal listener and they're like, hey, you guys have started doing this and, like this isn't good, blah, blah, blah. Like, constructive feedback is good, but the people who are just like sitting there and like, this fucking
But imagine
sucks.
Like every time you cut someone off in traffic, Chalmers, 8 people texted like, you fucking asshole, you're terrible.
I know.
That's what radio people have to deal with every day.
I've often thought about that with having my number on my truck. I sometimes think it's a bad idea.
Speaking of cutting people off in traffic, I was driving, and this is like around like the Fox Drive, Belgravia area, and I realized I needed to make a lane change, and I had space up ahead, so I went and accelerated to get ahead of this car to go and take this space. And the person, for some reason, got triggered and sped up with me.
Oh, yeah.
So then that aggravated me. So I kind of cut them off just to move into the lane anyways. Because like, fuck you. Like, you don't have to do this. Like, you were going 60. You don't have to be going 70 now because I am to get into this lane. And this person got so fucking triggered by this. All of a sudden, they then blew past me, and I'm getting there's a lady, I don't know if it's wife or girlfriend, took a photo of me. And the next thing you know, 2 hours elapsed. I get a call from the cops, and they're asking me what I did, and that there's a complaint against my driving, and they want me to come into the station, which I refused. Oh, it's like 3 or 4 years ago. Which
was it in the Nation truck?
No, it wasn't in a Nation truck. It had a Nation decal on it, which I refused to do. And the next thing you know, 7 days later, I got in the mail 4 ginormous traffic tickets.
What?
One for being on my phone,
they look
which
like
I wasn't.
Maps. I remember.
Yeah, one for
oversized.
stunting. It was like almost $3,000 in traffic fines, and I was like, "Holy fuck! Like, what the hell did I do?" Like, and I didn't go to the station to defend myself, nor did I want to, because I'm incriminating myself if I do. So then I go to fight these tickets. And I'm like, I'm like, can I get these reduced? Like, this is a lot of money. And they're like, oh, just we'll get the justice of the peace. And I go sit down, and he comes out. And he's like, yeah, no, these are all squashed. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, no, they didn't. They're supposed to there's like a box. They're supposed to write something in a ticket box, and they didn't do it. So my gathering is this person went into the police station hysterical and just dumped and vented on this cop. And then the cop's like, okay, I'll issue tickets, and just like, went through the motions and sent them, even though the tickets weren't like legit.
And I guess maybe for you, it's like a moment where the cop is like, okay, I'm going to make this person happy because I'm issuing the ticket.
Exactly.
And for this guy, it'll be like a nudge like, hey, by the way, drive better, I guess. But that's fucked that someone can just call into the police station and be like, I believe this, and this happened, and I want you to punish them for me.
Yeah. It was fucking, like, these people went crazy. And I don't know why I felt the need to share that story. I know Chalmers was talking about cutting people off, but like, it was so random. But anyways, I was like, shit, I owe like $3,000. Like, that's crazy. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember
that's like 10 sets of AirPods.
It's actually, yeah, pretty much bang on. In high school, I used to get a lot of speeding tickets as well. And in St. Albert, when you'd get the photo radars, it was very easy to just go into the courthouse and, you know, there was only like 5 people there. You go talk to basically the same guy. You tell him you're a student and he takes like 60% of it off, right? And I remember the first time I went in, I was like super nervous. I had a ticket for like whatever, $200. And me in high school could not afford a $200 ticket. So I sit down in front of the guy. He's like, Yaremchuk, hey? Like, are you related to the Yaremchuks that played in the NHL? And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yep, definitely related to them, even though I'm like distant relatives of them. And he's like, oh, that's great. And he sat there and talked to me for like 10 minutes about watching Ken and Gary Yaremchuk in the NHL, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, he was like, you know what? This is taken care of. Have a good day. And I didn't have to pay any of it. It was amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Worth your time. You must have felt like a weight was lifted off your shoulders, especially being that young.
Yeah.
Given the stakes of $200 and what that means.
Oh, yeah. Man, you know how many shifts at Jersey City that would have been for me to make back $200? Fuck.
Oh, geez. Well, I come
from
a world.
$50 a shift.
Yeah, I come from a world where I made $6 an hour in my high school job. So that's like 10 months of work.
When I first started at Jersey City, I think minimum wage was still like $10.50, which I know is...
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I remember halfway through my time at Jersey City, that's when the minimum wage spiked to $15. And that was like the greatest thing ever. But when I started, it was 10, and they would really only give me 3-hour shifts at night. And I worked at the one in West Ed, but I lived in St. Albert, and I drove like a fairly big Dodge Ram truck because it was handed down to me, and it was terrible on gas because it was an old truck. And I look back on that time now, and I'm like, I would drive 25 minutes from my house for a 3-hour shift, 25 minutes home, and make like $25 after taxes probably, which almost all went to gas.
Was this like a Dodge Ram truck or like a Dodge Ram Charger, like with a back?
Dodge Ram truck.
Okay.
Yeah, you and I, your Yaremchuk, have the same origin story. I as well started out with a handed down old Dodge Ram truck, but mine was like one that was like a 2-door SUV, but the Dodge Ram Charger, 1984.
I think your first job is always a money-losing proposition. I remember I worked at a golf store, and I would get a 3-hour shift on a Saturday afternoon, and if I would go for lunch after, I would lose money on the deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I worked at Safeway, and Safeway is unionized, so seniority plays a role on the hours you get.
Yeah.
So I would make $6 an hour. I'd get 1 5-hour shift a week. So you can do the math. That's $30, and I had to pay my union fees weekly as well. That was $9.50.
Fucked.
So my checks were like $18
working for the union.
Oh my God! And that was for like the first
But they
6
saved
months.
you later in life when you stopped reporting to work and then resumed a year later as though you hadn't missed a day.
Yeah, you George Costanza your work.
I took a sabbatical.
You got your $9 a week in value out of those fees.
I did. I took a summer sabbatical from Safeway once because I was living the Billy Madison life. I was bartending. I was making good enough money to just pay for my lifestyle. I was golfing 5 rounds a week. And I was like, I don't need Safeway. But then once school fired back up, I'm like, holy shit, I need Safeway. And then I just think because they would keep scheduling me, and I just showed up one day for my shift. And everyone's like, what? And then the manager sat me down in the produce cooler and was like, are you going to stop doing this? I'm like, yes, sir. I've changed. Sorry. It was a rough summer. But
it was an
committed.
oversight for 12 consecutive weeks of work.
Thanks, Mel.
Yes, sir.
I want to hear your beautiful voice. I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
Can you hear Wanye very well?
Yeah, I can hear him. Why?
Yep.
I can't hear him. I don't know what's
can't hear
going
me?
on.
Are you
but-
deaf?
No, not really. Okay, so it sounds good to everybody else?
Yep.
If it sounds good to everybody else, I'll leave it alone, but I was just wondering.
Look
I was
at that
drawing a picture of
drawing.
I was drawing a picture of a clown.
Adorable.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a screenshot of that, but I didn't.
I'll just send you a little picture a little bit later. That's I was very inspired.
What's the name of the club?
Binky.
Okay.
I think he's cute.
Interesting.
Can I transition into something that happened last night?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
gonna transition?
No, I don't need to do that one yet.
Oh.
So you guys know I'm coaching my oldest son's hockey team, and that I've been through about 20 hours of coaching clinics just to be able to do it. And last night was the general meeting for the coaches and managers of Edmonton Hockey. Everybody had to be in there. It was a Zoom call. There was 482 people on this Zoom call at one time.
Wow.
And they were going to go through, all the protocols of this year, it being kind of a different year with COVID. And the reason that it was timed as of yesterday was because on Wednesday, up until now, we've pretty much just been playing kind of our own thing within White Mud West or other community leagues. And on Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, we were sent our schedule for the next 4 weeks, and we're now playing other community leagues. So it's kind of a big deal. We're kind of transitioning into stage 2 of Edmonton Minor Hockey Week. It's very exciting. So they had this Zoom meeting, and it was at 7 o'clock, and I hurried home to get on it. When I tried to get on it, it wouldn't allow me on there. It said it only had a maximum of 100 people. And when I finally got on there, I had heard that the reason they are having technical difficulties getting everybody in was because once there was 100 people in there, somebody hacked the Zoom meeting and took over the screen and played the video of two girls, one cup.
Oh no!
So everybody's like, for the first 5 minutes of the actual meeting, you could just see that like the guy's doing it. He's like thrown off, and he's like apologizing for the technical difficulties. And in the chat, everybody's just kind of like, "What happened before this?" And there's a guy in our fantasy football league, our nation league, Dave, and he was in the same thing. And so I messaged him, and I messaged a couple other people, and I was like, "What happened?" So he said that somebody hacked the Zoom call, and when enough people were in there, fired up the screen, took over the screen, and played that video.
That is unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it's just...
I guarantee you, that
How do
person
you
was
even
under
do
the age of 14. I guarantee it.
Oh.
It's just crazy. Like, to think that somebody did that to, like, a 500-person invite Zoom meeting in Edmonton.
That's
One of
my
my favorite parts about everything happening over Zoom now is the stuff like this that's happening, where people either don't forget that their camera's on and do something ridiculous, or they hack in and post something weird. It's just like the opportunity for shenanigans because of these platforms is just shot through the roof, and I love it.
Oh, I know. I was doing mine over I had to go travel around the house. I'd gotten home from work quite late, and I needed to like eat some dinner. I needed to like do a few things. I didn't want to be in like my work clothes anymore. And so, but I wanted to listen to what he was saying. And I'm not going to lie to you, every 5 seconds I was like sweating, touching the screen, making sure that it was like pointing right to the ceiling, making sure my video thing still had a line through it, and that my mute button was still on, and just like, because you can never be too careful.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of like, who is sitting there and like, all right, the Edmonton Minor Hockey Association Zoom calls tonight?
A kid.
Well, so it had to have been like a teenager who
Yes.
saw the email, because in order to get the password into it, you had to register for the class, and it was only sent to people who were registered as Hockey Edmonton coach or manager. Right?
If you'd shown me Two Girls, One Cup when I was 12 years old, it would have melted my brain.
I've never seen it, and I have no intention on it.
I thought it was
But
tough to
if I
find.
did it as a kid, my first move would have been to put it on a Zoom call, guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
Everyone needs to see this.
Like what? Like that's
the most revolting thing in the whole entire
That
world.
is,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do something like that, that is the exact video you put in. Oh my god, that is. I thought I unseed that. I thought I put it in the past, and now all the memories are being.
I've never seen it. I've
brought
never
back.
seen it.
It'll change your mood. I'll tell you that.
I wish I didn't.
I would never
I'm
watch
not proud of it.
Yeah, just don't. You're Chuck. Just
No.
whatever you do, don't.
All right.
Well, we used to do that thing where it would be like my buddies would send a message to each other. Would be like, hey, check out this like story about whatever. When you click the link, it would always be to something like Lemon Party or Two Girls, One Cup.
Oh,
or
Lemon Party, that would get you.
this year, it was that dude with the massive hog sitting on the end of the bed.
Yeah,
We used to always do that stuff.
That's my go. Not anymore, but yeah, when we were younger, like you send the, like for me, I'm like always the guy who has to organize the beer league hockey and like the beer league slow pitch. So I'll always send them like a disguised link and be like, hey guys, you need to click this and go sign up. And it's great just sitting there. Fuck you, I was in class when I opened that, you piece of shit. And just a link to like random porn. It is funny. All right, well.
Did we have any topics for today?
Oh yeah, I had a
think
ton.
we hit them all.
Yep, we got
All right,
porn.
now it's time to give the show back to your Chuck.
All right. It's awkward to transition into an ad read out of that, but I will. Twigandberries.ca. We have promo code Nation15. This is the part of the week
Two berries, one twig.
Yeah, and it fits perfectly because we were just talking about that guy with the massive hog sitting on the end of the bed. Twig and Berries probably would have had something to wrap up that meaty masterpiece. You know what I mean?
Oh, the Nutsacks can handle it for sure.
Yeah, the Nutsacks can handle anything. That is their own brand of underwear. You can head to twigandberries.ca. It's supporting local. Like I said, their own brand. And with the promo code Nation15, you're going to save 15%. It's a banging deal. Twigandberries.ca. Check it out. If you haven't yet, go check it out. Please, I'm begging you. I had
and
some,
not just undies there too either.
Yeah,
they got all kinds of stuff there.
I was just on the website. They got like I noticed when we record these Beg Milk, you're a big pajama pants guy, right? Like,
yeah, man.
they got some
I
of
don't
those
leave
on
my
there.
house. Like, you're lucky that I'm actually wearing pants.
That's also fair. But they got some nice hoodies, a nice flannel, t-shirts. They got pajama pants, everything. I know we hype up the underwear a lot, but the other products as well deserve just as much hyping.
I want to call out Twig and Berries in a good way. I want to talk to you about, let's do a collaboration, maybe on some sweats or a flannel. Nation Gear, Nation Gear, and Twig and Berries, because they already make the good stuff, and then we'll just design a little logo that goes on it.
The business development for this is saying it on the podcast and hoping they're listening.
Of course they listen.
Respect.
This is how this all came to be. They're
Bank of Nova Scotia. I would like some money.
This is a nation. This is a nation citizen-owned business. So they are local, and they're even local within our community as well. So they're a great partner.
I would also say, Jay, that we've been talking about Nation Sweatpants for a long time now.
Yeah,
and this would be the perfect gateway into doing that.
Are you going to put Nation on the ass?
I'm going to put Juicy on mine. Thank you.
One of the topics I had written down for this show, I actually had like 5 or 6, but as usual, we're only going to get to one before Scott Hastings joins us. George Laraque v. Mike Tyson. I know Brownlee wrote on the Nation about this a little bit. He chatted with Georges. This is clearly going to be a charity thing, but is this something that interests you guys at all, or are you kind of like, meh?
All I have to say is, if this fight is real, Tyson will kick the shit out of Laraque, because this is a different beast.
He wants to fight.
Apparently, it could be a 3-round charity match, is what they've discussed.
Yeah, if it was an actual boxing match.
Oh yeah.
So according to Brownlee's article, because he actually called George about this, and he says it's an exhibition that's likely a year away if it comes off at all. I'd say his estimation is it's about 75% done.
Hey, you know what I got a problem with right now is anytime somebody wants to get some attention, and they used to be a fighter or they are a fighter, ever since that video of Tyson came out where he was sparring with his sparring partner and he still looked good, we all know he's on the dope, on the reg, and he's working out, and he's fit as shit. All these people come out of the fucking woodwork and say, I want to fight Mike Tyson. Oh, okay, now you want to fight Mike Tyson. There's stories of Mike Tyson. Have you ever heard the story of Fat Joe and Big Pun? And Big Pun, they're in a bar in Miami, and they go outside because they're getting kicked out, and there's like 6 bouncers around, and Big Pun's going off, and he's like, I'm going to fight these guys, fuck these guys. And Fat Joe's like, Big Pun, like, these guys are going to take us down, but if you want to do this, like, I got your back. And Big Pun's like going crazy. And Fat Joe's like, I am super scared right now. And all of a sudden, they hear a voice, and it is, hey, Fat Joe, what you doing out here?
What?
And yeah, and Mike Tyson comes out, and he's like, we fighting these guys? And he came out in a pair of dress pants and a white dress shirt with no socks, no shoes on. And the biggest bouncer looked at him and was like, no, Mike, there ain't no problem. He's like, if you got a problem with them, you got a problem with me. And started chasing him. And the biggest bouncer was running around the car. And he was like, we don't got a problem, Mike. We don't got a problem. And Fat Joe and Fat Joe at that moment was like, that's when I knew that little motherfucker was the scariest person on the planet.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And so I don't give a shit who you are. Roy Jones Jr., George Laraque. You're coming out to try to fight Tyson now. Number one, probably still going to lose. Number two, come on, man. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing.
Like Mike Tyson's 54 years old right now, but those hands are still talking. You know what I mean?
He throws hammers. Like, just you watch the career arc of Rocky. Rocky came in young, fast, small, agile, and then when he got challenged in that fight later on in his life, when he was older, he focused on heavy punches. Tyson is a mutant of strength. Oh my God! I just thinking of taking a rib shot from Mike Tyson, I just cringe. Like, not even a chance.
After this kind of came out, I sent me down a rabbit hole of going on YouTube and watching videos of Mike Tyson slipping punches and knocking people out.
I watched those too. I went down the same exact rabbit hole.
That guy was devastating.
It's incredible. The amount of fights where, and every single time he knocked somebody out, when he came out with just the black shorts and the white towel around his neck, and he came out and he just looked, his demeanor didn't change. He didn't look pipe up. He didn't look like scared. He just looked like a guy about to box. And every single time that he knocked a dude out in 30 or 40 seconds, he immediately went to try to help them up. And he, like, you could tell he was like, sorry, man, just doing my job. Like, are you okay? And, like, every single time.
You would see that guy's fucking soul leave his body as well. Like, just when he connects full on right on the button, down you go. It's like a crumpling heap of body. Mike Tyson is terrifying.
There was one guy, I think he was fighting Larry Holmes' son. And you could tell Larry Holmes' son was absolutely terrified. Terrified before. And Mike Tyson does this thing where he kind of rushes to the center of the ring right on the bell. Larry Holmes Jr., I swear to God, I think he wanted to run out of the ring. And he didn't last more than like 15 seconds. If you ever go down a Mike Tyson early years rabbit hole, it is just astonishing what he was. It was crazy.
I feel like the smart...
I recommend going down the rabbit hole.
Tell a fine story, Chalmers. You should be on a podcast.
Oh, yeah. You want to hear a second one about Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Sure.
So one time, apparently, Steve-O, you know, from Jackass?
Yep.
He heard about a party after the bar, and he just like went, and he's like, whatever. So a couple of his friends got the address, and they went to the house, and he knocked on the door, and Tyson came up. It was this big mansion. And Steve-O's like, oh, shit. And he's like, what do you want, Steve-O? And he like knew who he was. And he's like, well, I heard there was a party here. Do you care if we come in? And Tyson goes, you have any cocaine? And Steve-O's like, yeah, like a lot. And Mike Tyson's like, apparently the way Steve-O tells it, he like punched past him like really hard where he heard the wind, curled it around his neck and said, come on, let's go. They went up to his master bathroom and they stayed in there for 3 hours and did like 7 grams of cocaine, just the two of them. And he tells a story about how Mike Tyson didn't just like to do cocaine, like snort cocaine normally. But he liked to empty out the tobacco in cigarettes and then put all the cocaine in the emptied out cigarette and then smoke it. And so Steve-O's like,
how much worth of cocaine is a whole
I would like to just say this is all alleged.
Alleged. Well,
yeah, alleged in Steve-O's opinion.
How much would a whole cigarette worth of cocaine cost in these?
Oh, I have zero idea. A lot, probably.
Yeah.
But the fact is like, I didn't know that like cocaine burnt, and that's what Steve-O kind of said. He's like, I didn't really know the physics of it, but he said that after that night, him and Mike Tyson were like great friends.
They'd smoke a cocaine cigarette together.
I'm looking at a story right now of a Steve-O fight from June of 1990 in Mike Tyson fight, sorry. From June of 1990 in Las Vegas, where tickets, like ringside tickets, were up to $5,000, $6,000-$7,000, and Mike Tyson came in one punch knockout in less than 30 seconds.
Against who?
His name was Henry Tillman.
Poor guy.
One punch knockout, and everybody that left the fight that night was saying, well, I don't know if that was worth the money, but they almost watched a man die in the middle of the ring.
I feel like it would be worth the money at that point, right? Just getting any chance to like watch in his prime, him do stuff like that.
He's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one time he fought somebody else and he beat him up in like very short order. And my grandpa went to like his friend's house to watch the fight. And when he got there, he was like 5 minutes later, some shit. And he'd missed the fight. And he was so mad. He's like, I'll go home and watch it. And he went home and his VCR was off by like 5 minutes. And so he missed the entire fight in both directions. He was like, Mike Tyson is too good of a boxer.
Like Peter McNeely or something.
That's who it was, Peter McNeely.
Yeah, the white guy, the Irish guy. Oh,
and they did a Pizza Hut commercial after.
We were talking about clothing there, and before we transition into Scott Hastings from OddsShark here, Bag Milk, we were talking before we started recording. Oilers Nation, Black Friday is a new Black Friday line of apparel coming.
Yeah, so I got to. Jay sent me some of the designs that are be coming out not only for Black Friday but just kind of sticking around on nationgear.ca. And I gotta say, the designs that are coming are fresh. They look really, really sweet, and I'm very much looking forward to being able to wear them, because having different designers and Jay can talk about it more, but having different kind of designers and people helping design and come up with different ideas that we never could is resulting in some awesome clothes. It really is.
I was saying before we started, when I was similar to when I got the speeding ticket, when I was just a young student who didn't have very much money, I always looked at the Black Friday stuff and I loved it. I always wanted to buy all that gear. It's sick. You're wearing the hoodie right now too, right, Big Milk?
Yeah, I'm wearing a blackout hoodie from a couple of years ago. Yeah. It's just black on black, and they look great. They're soft. They're nice. They're warm. It's perfect for an Edmonton winter.
Yeah.
The one cat I will let out of the bag is that we are bringing back that hoodie for this Black Friday.
Yeah,
so that was a limited run 3 years ago. We had, I think, 300 of them sold out. Anytime I wear one, people are like, how can I get that hoodie? Or I'm upset I missed that, so we're going to bring it back for this. So
you're telling me we're also selling cats in bags?
Yeah, one at a time.
Either in the bag or out of the bag. You get to choose.
Cool. Depends how much money you have.
Here's the way I'll plug this. Maybe if I get a Black Friday hoodie, I can show it off on our new Twitch show every Tuesday that we do. We're combining sort of the two podcasts, Oilers Nation Radio and Real Life. If anyone's free on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, you can join me, Nation Dan, Bag Milk, talk Oilers, talk whatever for 30 minutes, and it's all live. And for the people listening, you can come ask us questions live. Watch me eat Skittles. My girlfriend brings me a coffee. Almost die. It's a great time. Tuesday.
It's a great time.
1 o'clock.
But yeah, but will you almost die every episode or mail it in most of the time and never die?
I think you'll be surprised at how often I choke while eating food. I'm not a very good eater.
Perhaps a lot.
He choked off the sugar of a sour Skittle.
Yeah.
To start the episode.
It was also great because Tyler kind of forgot he was also on camera, so people got a glimpse of him choking on Skittles. It was great.
I have concerns about your larynx, Chalmers.
Hold on, what? Larynx?
Yeah, some kind of your larynx.
Larynx?
The throat part. Your larynx.
Wow, that is incorrect, said the English language.
Isn't it
larynx?
It's just larynx, I think.
Larynx.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Don't.
Larynx.
Don't do that. It's larynx.
Larynx.
It's larynx. Larynx.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you guys debate that.
There's no debating that. There's a right and wrong answer.
Yeah, well, you can figure it out. I got a compliment for Bag Milk. I really like the Leon, the Noel backwards meme that you put up for.
That was Nation Dan.
Yeah, that was Dan. I didn't make that one.
Very funny.
Fuck you then, Bag Milk.
Hey, 1 sec, guys. 1 sec. Oh, never mind. It didn't come.
Oh my God, it does spell Noel.
Larynx.
Yeah, what did you think they were doing, JR?
I don't know.
Did you hear what Terry Crews said?
I'm on Wikipedia. I'm on Wikipedia. Are you ready? Larynx.
No.
Oh, you're fucking full of shit. Man.
You're making up that voice.
That's what I'll do one more time.
All right. Well,
Larynx.
keep larynx. Someone just played it. It's
Larynx.
beautiful. Yep.
There's no G in it.
What?
G.
Where are you even getting G from in larynx?
You're saying larynx.
Larynx.
Hang on.
You're hearing
I'm gonna
it wrong.
try. I'm gonna try to help. Derek here.
Larynx.
Maybe
Like hockey rink. Rinks. That back half sounds like skating rink.
we're gonna
Larynx.
try the British pronunciation and see if that helps out, Jay.
Thank
Hang on
you.
1 second.
Larynx.
No.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jay.
Larynx.
Notting Hill is right.
It's not larynx.
I thought I spoke the Queen.
Yes.
Ah.
This is a very, very small dialect of people who work occasionally at Safeway.
Oh.
Cider?
All right. Well, we got to get to our OddsShark segment here. Scott Hastings is just around the corner. As always, Wanye, we thank you for your time. Unless you want to stay in that.
Noodle readout. If I don't hear a noodle readout, I disappear like Phantom of the Opera.
What?
Talking about Oodle Noodle? Did we talk about Oodle Noodle today?
We started.
We
with
did?
a little.
I start and end every podcast with a noodle ad read, and I do twig and berries in the middle. I got it all written
You're a
down.
good man. All right.
And in between that, 2 girls in 1 cup. That's the flow of the show.
Oh, Wanye's out. All right. I will add Scott Hastings into the call now.
How do we do on the weekend?
Yeah. So while we bring in Scott Hastings here, I will say it was not a great weekend for us. Pretty good weekend for Scott Hastings. We'll get to that in a second. Scott Hastings is of OddsShark.com. That's OddsShark.com. Everything you need. Whether you're betting on NFL, whatever you want to bet on, OddsShark has you covered with sports and information. Okay, I don't want to get into politics with you to start, Scott Hastings, but the line movement we saw in this American election was bananas. Like, people were describing it as like the betting event of the decade, and that might not even be an overreaction.
Yeah, there was a lot of value to be made if you got Trump perhaps as an underdog, and then it swung way the other way. He was a minus 700 favorite. If you hammered Biden, you could hedge your bet. That's how you win money, fellas.
Yeah, it was great. Not that I'm one to, get into politics or anything like that, but it was the second intermission of my beer league game that night. And someone in the room was like, Biden's like +2 something. And I was like, oh shit, that's definitely worth a sprinkle at this point if the odds have flipped around that much. But that's enough of that. We hit our quota for American politics talk on the podcast. We're heading into week 9 in the NFL, and we're getting to the point, like, I feel like the week 9 mark, an 8-game sample size for most teams, 7 if they have their bye already. I feel like it's a point where you really kind of know what teams are. With that being said, over-under trends, are there some teams we're starting to see consistently fall on one side of that coin?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Of course, the trade deadline can sometimes skew things a little bit. Just to make things a little more fun at the halfway mark, just why not add a few more defensive players or offensive players just to shake things up. But so far this season, the Saints 7-0 on the over. 7-0. So if you guys took an under on any Saints game, that sucks because you definitely lost that bet. The Cardinals, on the opposite side of things, they're the number 1 under team. 1-5-1 on the under. So, and that's not really surprising. We've seen a lot of Cardinals games be very competitive, very scrappy, low-scoring games. So when you see it 1-5-1, that makes a ton of sense.
I've got to interrupt here. Chalmers, do you know why that is?
Do I know why they're always under these days?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I have no idea.
Small hands.
Who has small hands?
You know who has small hands.
Kyler Murray?
Yeah, that was a thing before
Yeah, but
the
he's
draft.
winning. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if he's not scoring enough points. They're winning.
I'm just.
He could be an
There's
MVP
a direct
candidate by the end
correlation
of the
here.
year.
The direct
Hey,
correlation.
Scott, I got a question. There was a team that was 0-6 after week 6 on covering their spread. Is there anything like that you've seen that's happened with teams where either they're covering their spread all the time or they're not covering it at all?
Were you trying to take a shot there? Is that what was going on here?
Why, was it the Cowboys?
Yes, the Cowboys are 0-8 against the spread here. 0-8 against the spread. And if they go to 0-9, they will be the first team in history to go 0-9. They're one of 3 teams all time to go 0-8. So get your shots in. I wasn't the one that took the shot at Kyler Murray's small hand.
Well,
here we are.
Double down. Let's get
the
him.
spread is high, though. 13.5 this weekend, I think, against Pittsburgh, right?
Well, it's Ben DiNucci. It should be minus 130 at this point. Like, holy cow. Yeah, it is painful. I unfortunately watched 3/4 of that Dallas game on the Sunday nighter, and I felt like pulling my teeth out. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's
check down city.
The entire NFC East is just an absolute adventure right now. At the radio station today, we did NFC East inspired hot takes, and one of the guys said Washington should take the W on their helmet and just change it to an L for the rest of the season and just run with it that way.
It's funny because when you said sorry to interrupt you again, but when you said that you know who teams are, I did not know who those Giants were on Monday night. They almost cost a lot of people, I think, survivor picks. They cost a lot of people in their spreads. I mean, they looked like competent. What was that? Like, was that an aberration? Was that a Monday nighter thing? Daniel Jones? What do you think happened there?
Throughout this season, I've liked the progression I've seen from Daniel Jones. He just can't do it for 60 minutes. That's my big issue with him. I think the weather was a big issue for that one. All through the East Coast there, they were talking about it on the early games on Sunday that the wind was blowing and all that, and that continued into the Monday nighter as well. So I think it was just a bit of an odd game all around, a little bit of the Monday nighter, and yeah, I think the Giants came to play, and maybe Tampa Bay thought they could just roll through them, and they got a bit of a scrappy Giants team.
And I think you'd agree with me that you're telling any bettor out there, that experienced or not, that if you're betting over unders and you're not checking the weather, then you're doing it wrong. Don't even bother.
But the thing is, the total can go either way, because you could get a messy game and you ask 100 people, half of them will say take the under, the other half will take the over, because as much as it's a detriment to the offensive side of things, the defensive players, you'll see them slip. And then you'll just see a guy break a 60-yard touchdown pass that was just a little bubble screen that a defensive player slips and away they go. So I think it can go both ways. I think cold weather is more of an impact, and I think we saw that. I believe it was what was the game that was super cold? Oh, that was college football. Wyoming and Hawaii. The temperatures were like 1 degree Celsius, and the score was like 38. Hawaii got 7 points because they don't like that kind of weather. So it was college I was thinking of.
Question for you. When it's warm weather teams going to cold cities, do you read into that at all? Like, I was talking to a buddy who's a Dolphins fan, and I'm a Bills guy, so we're talking about that last matchup of the year. And he was like, well, man, it's Miami going up to Buffalo, and it's going to be freezing, and it's going to be snowing there. Is there actually, like, numbers, or is that historically a thing where warm weather teams struggle in cold cities?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure there is definitely data. I don't have it available to me at a snap of the finger, but I think you just definitely see it. But some players are fine with it. Some players, you'll see them go out there and go to Minnesota if it was outdoors. I guess Lambeau would be a better example. They go to Lambeau and they just completely kill it. Whereas other guys, you see big issues, especially quarterbacks. Like if they got cold hands, small hands, if it was Kyler, small cold hands, they'll struggle a lot. But that is one thing I put more emphasis on, like a really cold game, just because nobody wants to catch that ball. That ball's coming at you, especially somebody like Brett Favre that could break your thumbs on a warm day with a heavy pass. You do it when it's close to freezing. You don't want to catch that ball. It's not enjoyable. So I think a really cold game, and I lean more towards an under in that sort of situation.
Look, in the last other area I wanted to touch on with you before we get into the games in Week 9 and some spreads I want your opinion on. Talking to your friend Joe Osborne from OddsShark, I talked to him a lot during the baseball season, and he's big into the first 5 innings, right? Take the bullpen completely out of the picture, bet on the starting pitchers. This year in the NFL, it feels like it's been a year where there's certain teams who are just loving blowing leads. I'm looking at the Chargers. I'm looking at the Falcons. Yeah. Is there value in only betting on the first half in a game? And are there teams right now who are proving they're great first half teams, but they just can't hold the lead to save their lives?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I'm not a typical halftime bettor, or even I know we hit a good. I forget what the first period was when we were talking about hockey.
Islanders, Flyers.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. So I tend to have a good feeling about them, but I never bet them myself. Maybe the odd one here and there if I know the wife's out of town or something, and I can just sit there and watch a ton of sports. I might get a little crazy on that first quarter of basketball or football or whatever. But yeah, there are some teams here. I got Joe Glant did a good article of the best and worst first half bets. And so he has first half money line, the Chargers were the number one team. As you mentioned, they like to blow a lot of second half leads. Washington being the worst first half money line teams, probably no surprise, put that L on their helmet. And then I'm seeing, so he didn't have against the spreads. I'll have to rip them to shreds for that one. But the first half money lines, Chargers, first half money line to fade would be Washington. So maybe the Giants are a good look this week. First half.
Rookie betting question of the week. My friend got a DM asking if I had a plan for bankroll management, and I don't really even know what that is.
Just bet everything, big parlays, and
just whatever I got.
That's right. No, so they recommend between 2 and 5%. So if you're a risky bettor, a 5% of your bankroll is considered the higher end. Now, if you're more of a conservative bettor, it's around 2% is what they suggest. Now, that's usually when you're dealing with large bankrolls. A lot of people just throw $100 in their account. So you may not enjoy a $5 bet. You may be more likely to lay a $10 bet, which is really, really risky at 10% of your bankroll. If you miss 10 bets, you're belly up, you're redepositing. So
if you miss 10 bets in a row, you might as well just stop betting.
That's true. That is absolutely true. But even you're not probably going to lose 10 in a row, but it's going to be a thing where it just sort of chips away where you're betting on favorites. And so maybe you don't hit 10 in a row, but eventually you just whittle down, and next thing you know, your bankroll's 50 and your bankroll's 20, but you're still betting $10 or $5. And then that percentage of your bet, the more your bankroll goes down, the percentage of your bet increases if you're not also following. So the golden rule is between 2 and 5% based on your risk evaluation or whatever. Basically, I just sort of look at what you feel comfortable losing.
Yeah,
I think that's the most best way to go about it. I'm not going to tell you if it's 2%, 10%, 20%. If you're comfortable losing $100 a game, by all means, go ahead. But I think it's just based on what you feel comfortable losing, because in reality, there's not a lot of professional bettors out there.
Yeah, like when I hear bankroll management, I think of like a pro bettor who's dropping, $1,000 on each bet he's placing. And for me, and that question with a rookie who's like, hey, how do I manage my bankroll? I think you put it really well there, Scott. Like, don't worry about putting $2,000 into your account and then saying, okay, I need to manage this bankroll. Like you said, put 100 in. If you want to do $10 a bet, do it and get your feeling out process that way. And then if there comes a point where you want to start putting more money on games, that's when you worry about bankroll management, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're doing well, or you get on a heater and that bankroll goes from $100 up to $300, then maybe you want to look at doing a $20 bet, or you can increase it, you can decrease it, maintain a unit size, but that unit size can fluctuate. As I say, if you have a lot more in your account, you started with $100, you've been doing $10 bets the entire time, you now have $1,000 in there. Maybe you're doing pretty well. Maybe increase your bank your unit size. But again, if you don't feel comfortable with that, stick to your $10 bets. It's whatever you feel comfortable with in the end. But just don't blow it all in one big parlay, because it's probably not going to hit.
It's all dimes and nickels there, Bag Milk.
All right, I want to get your take on a couple of Week 9 lines that I have my eye on. The first one, I feel very certain about this one, but as you like to tell us, if it looks too good to be true, it just might be. Why are the Ravens only -2.5 this week? I know the Colts are a decent team and all that, but I just look at Baltimore and I go, they look like a Super Bowl contender. The Colts are not a Super Bowl contender. 2.5 points doesn't feel like enough to me.
Is this your bet of the week here? Are we getting a little preview?
It's one of the two I have written down. I'm going to decide on the fly here.
Okay, based on what I say. No, I absolutely agree. I do like the Ravens this week. I think we're just getting a little bit of, we're seeing, if anyone followed Lamar Jackson when he was in college, he struggled in big games. And then we've seen Lamar go into playoff games and look very mediocre, if not just outright bad. We've seen it against Kansas City. We've seen it against Pittsburgh. He struggles in those high-pressure games, whether it's the defenses are confusing him or whether it's a mental thing that he struggles in those games. I can't tell you. I'm not his psychologist. I think that the Colts are not one of those high-profile teams. So I do like Baltimore in this situation. I think a lot of people are going to hammer the Colts because of their strong defense and just seeing Lamar struggle in those sort of situations. So I think the line is set properly that they're going to get bets on both sides. I think the Ravens are the play to make. And sorry if that offended our guest here. He just took a leave.
Yeah, the Chalmers just leave.
I think he's going in. I think he's going in to get a Slurpee or something from the gas station.
Very on brand.
The other game I wanted your take on is one that I'm probably just gonna stay away from this game because I don't know if it feels like it's a hard game to get a read on. But it's the Titans taking on the Bears. Two teams coming off they're on 2-game losing streaks right now. And they're both good teams. I know that. But at the same time, they both feel almost like vanilla and somewhat inconsistent to me. Do you have a read on that game at all?
Yeah, that's the Bears all season. They've tricked me. I've hit them on a few of them. Or you take the Bengals, whatever. No, wait, that was the Browns. My bad. I was trying to remember the other B team. No, but the Bears they're one of these teams that just continue to win. We've said it almost every week. Of course, they're on a bit of a skid now. And Tennessee, they allow 30 points a game. But Chicago can't score 30 points ever. It's one of those really tricky games. I lean towards the under just because I think that the Bears can hold Derrick Henry somewhat in check, and I don't think Ryan Tannehill can beat them through the air. And then I just don't think the Bears can score more than 25 points. So I lean towards the under, but it's a game that I'm just personally going to stay away from. That's a tricky one.
All right, we're getting to the end of the show here, so let's get to our pick'em for the week. Before we do that, let's look at our picks last week. Let's see if there's anywhere we can learn from, because the group of four of us, we went 1 for 3. Chalmers had the Seahawks at -3. He nailed that.
Nice.
And then I had the Packers -7. The Packers cost me a lot of money on Sunday. That pissed me off. I had them on the money line in a couple parlays. That made me mad. Whatever. Buffalo -4 didn't hit for Jay, and bagged milk. Back-to-back losses for you now. You had Tampa Bay -12.5. That did not hit. Scott Hastings, you went 2 for 1 or 2 and 1. You missed on Tampa, but you nailed the LA Denver over. That was a thrilling game. And Atlanta, you had on the Thursday nighter at +2.5. So for this week, let's give ours first before we get to Scott. I am someone who has not been good at this so far this year. My record on the year is 3-5, so I'm looking to crawl back to 500 over the next couple weeks. I'm going to take the Ravens -2.5. I like that bet. Yeah, smart bet. Thank you, Chalmers. I'm going Ravens -2.5. Who would be in second last right now? It would be Jay. Me and Jay are actually Jay's one worse than me. So Jay, who do you want this week?
Well, this is where I take you down. I am going to do dear friend to many people and all around good guy, Jason Strudwick. I'm going to do right by him, and I'm going to take the Giants +2.5.
They're +2.5.
Give me those points, baby.
Any points in the NFC
risky. I like it.
Any points in the NFC East, just take them.
Yeah,
that's probably a good way to go about it. Chalmers, you're next. Who do you want?
What's my record?
Your record so far on there, you and Bag Milk are actually tied. You're 5-3.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to be going with the Arizona Cardinals -2.5 over the Dolphins. It's going to be an exciting game, but I think they're going to get to them, and I think they're going to put up a lot of points.
Interesting. Tua, and before we get to you, Bag Milk, Scott, Tua never really had to do too much. Hey, their defense basically set him up perfectly every time they got the ball.
Yeah. I think what's interesting, though, Myles Gaskin, he's on the IR, so he's gone for 3 games. Of course, they have Jordan Howard, who they may go with. They also picked somebody up off the waiver wire. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to go with running back. I think this is a really interesting game for Tua as to can you move the ball? He looked good against the Jets, but everyone looks good against the Jets. So against the Cardinals, we'll see.
Chalmers, your signal. We can
Chalmers,
hear everything in your truck.
Made that turn. I hope he made that
you want me to drive? You want me to drive unsafe? Come on.
I want you to fix your audio situation.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Tua, is it better now?
Yeah, it's a little better now. Thank you.
It's weird because I'm really rooting for Tua for some reason. I just really I like him. I like everything about him, from the injury coming out of college to the fact that him and his parents just seem like really, really down to earth, good people. And I hope he has it, man. And this is a game where I'm going to be rooting for my team. I'm going to be rooting for my pick. But I want to see him show some signs. I want it just to be a good game. I think it's a real watchable game.
100%.
I agree.
Bag Milk, your pick. You were 5-3 on the year. It is worth noting that my Buffalo Bills are 2 of your 3 losses. But where are you going this week?
I'm gonna go Pittsburgh over Dallas.
That was the other one I actually had written down. Steelers minus 13.5. I feel like there really isn't a spread where I might have not bet on the Steelers here. I think they might dominate the Cowboys. Sorry, Scott.
I was surprised that they weren't 19.5 like the Chiefs were against the Jets. I thought 13.5 is, it doesn't seem right. The Cowboys are trash.
I do a pool, and it's a really big pool. And what you have to do is you have to pick the winner, and then how much you think they're going to win by, and you get points for how close you are to the real. This week has, I was going through it, some big time spreads and things that I think are going to be blowout games. I think it's the biggest one of the week. I'm out of 182 people in that, I'm number 1 right now, just overall. I just wanted to tell everybody that.
Are you going to buy
the Caesars? They might hire you.
Yeah.
Scott, your record since we started doing the pick'em in week 6, you are 6-3. You've gone 2-1 every week. Where are you going this week?
Geez, could we get a 3-0 or maybe an 0-3? Who knows? I'm going to start with the Raiders, getting 1.5 on the road at LA. I don't think the Chargers. We've talked about the Chargers blowing leads. Why not blow another one? So the fact I was a little surprised that the Raiders were an underdog in this game. I thought they would have been favored. So getting 1.5, I'll take them on the road. We're going to keep with the underdog team here, and we're going to go with those Buffalo Bills. They're at home. They're 3-point dogs to Seattle. Seattle making the trip from the West Coast to the East Coast. I always feel a little weary about those games, and Seattle's defense they can't stop points from coming in. I think him and Russell Wilson, Josh Allen are going to go toe to toe, and a fun, high scoring game. So I like Buffalo +3, Vegas +1.5. And I was going to
nobody circles the Raiders like the Buffalo Bills. The wagon.
I was going to go with the Cardinals 4.5 is what I saw, but that's already been covered. So we'll go with another one here. Do we want another underdog or a total?
Throw us a total. I could use some totals advice.
Okay. It's going to be a low total. It's from the same game. We're going to go with under 41 in the Patriots and Jets.
Whoa.
The Jets are they're pretty bad. I thought they looked a little better with Sam Darnold in the lineup, but they're still pretty trash. And this Patriots defense is pretty scrappy, but their offense is also nothing impressive. So I like the under 41 in a horrible Monday nighter that
Let's all make a bet. Let's all make a prediction of what the score is going to be. I'm going to say it's going to be 24-6 Patriots.
I'll say
it's an under.
I'll say 20-10.
I think the Jets cover. So I'm going to go something with a 20-14. Okay. So I think they just barely squeak out a cover, and it's just an ugly game.
I'm going opposite. I'm going to go 28-21. Jets. Okay. I don't know who's going to win, but I think the Jets are going to do something of value.
Frank Gore.
24-10.
24-10. All right. Sounds good. All right, hey,
Scott. Scott, before we let you go, this is a fantasy related question because I need to know. Do you know if Jordan Reed's going tonight for San Fran?
I haven't heard. Probably not because he's a Band-Aid. So I'm going to go with the no. Jordan Reed, he's atrocious. Do you have him in your league?
Well, I have Kittle.
You're so lame, JR.
Oh,
So lame.
Chalmers, how are you doing?
In which one? In Nation Real Life, I'm kicking everyone's ass. And in our friends one,
we're coming for you in real life. But in our friends one, how you doing?
I'm doing about as good as somebody would do who lost their first 4 rounds to her injury. So give me a goddamn break.
As a team who's lost Saquon, OBJ,
nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
These are all legit. So everyone's got that excuse. So you can't say that as an excuse.
Scott, as always, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Good luck this weekend.
You too, Scott. All right. Scott Hastings from OddsShark. That's your spot. If you want to become a smarter better, head to oddshark.com. Whatever you bet on, assuming right now, because we're in the middle of November and the only thing going is the NFL. The Masters is coming soon, but if you want NFL info, they got a ton of great articles up there right now from their staff of writers and a ton of great resources for you to use. All right, guys. This was a fun pod. This is the first 30-some minutes of it were great because we got to like a bunch of random topics, but it stayed nice and on the rails still, I felt. So anyways, good job. Until the end when Chalmers' fucking signal kept going off every 2 seconds. You have no idea in my headphones how piercing of a noise that is.
I don't understand how I'm driving the whole podcast, turning corners, switching lanes, street sweeping, and you only hear it the last 4 minutes of the podcast.
I think it's something to do with how your audio's connected because you were good until you left the truck and came back.
I had to go meet somebody, man. Things change, Mark.
All right.
Good reference.
We're gonna save our Oilers. We're gonna save our Oilers topic for Monday's show. We also might have a guest on Monday, so stay tuned. That'll be episode 229 of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget, check out our friends at twigandberries.ca. Winter is coming. It's probably real close. Today might actually be the last nice day here in Edmonton. So they got sweats, they got hoodies, they got flannels, they got everything you need. And of course, their own brand of underwear, Nutsack Underwear. Use the promo code NATION15 for 15% off as you head into the weekend. No one likes cooking on the weekend, so go find your local Oodle Noodle. Support them as well. 10% of all in-store proceeds. Holy shit, I'm ending this podcast. This is just a disaster right now. Everyone make as much noise as possible. Episode 228 of the Real Life Podcast is over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.